Hey folks, James here, Bassin with Woodginski. Today we're going to be talking about spinning rods, bait casting rods, what to look for when choosing a rod, the line size you want, the differences between the two, situations that you'll use them in, and a few baits that you'll use with the two. So this is just a beginner kind of breakdown, bass fishing 101 for those of you who maybe want to take your kids out for the first time, or you did a little bit of fishing but you're not too sure where to start when you go to look for a rod, or how to set up a rod and when to fish each of those rods in certain situations. So first one we have here, spinning rod or open face rod, as some people might refer to them. Now when you're looking for one of these rods to start off with, spinning rods, you're going to be fishing usually really light line, so you want to look for like a medium light fast action rod that holds 5 to 10 pound test, 1/8 ounce, maybe up to a 1/2 ounce weight. Now what that means is medium is the strength in the backbone. It has really good backbone to it, and fast is in regards to how much bend you get in the tip. You really want to get that good parabolic bend in that rod, so that way the rod is doing most of the work for you and not putting a lot of pressure on your line. So when you have your line set up, I have this one already spooled up, but you'll run it through this guide here on your reel, and then you're going to run them through each of your guides all the way up till you get to the top. And then when you have that set, this right here adjusts your drag, so it goes clockwise, counterclockwise. And what you're looking for is just that happy medium to where the fish can pull it just enough so that it's not going to break your line, but you don't want it too loose that the fish is just going to run all over the place and you have a greater chance of losing that fish, that hook popping loose. So another feature that I like to look at when I'm picking out a rod for the first time is the balance of the rod. So if I can hold that rod with 2 fingers just like that, and it's not too top heavy or bottom heavy, then that's a pretty good rod. You're going to be fishing for, if you're fishing all day long, 8 hours or so, and you got a real top heavy rod or a back heavy rod, that's going to put a lot of pressure on your forearm. So you want something that's light and comfortable, something that you're going to be able to throw, all day long. Now when I'm rigging my spinning rod up, I like to go 8 pound fluoro, 10 pound fluorocarbon, no heavier than that. Sometimes I'll do a 5 pound fluorocarbon, and that's usually when I'm fishing schooling fish in the summertime and it's open water situation. I'm pretty confident that they're not going to break me off. Other times I'll go to a monofilament line, something like this right here, Berkeley Mono 10 pound, and when I'm doing that, I'm usually fishing around grass, and I want a real slow rate of fall. You're throwing small worms such as this one here, or you're throwing a worm that floats, and the monofilament also floats, so that way you get that real slow rate of fall, and a lot of times it'll just get those finicky bass into reacting to it. Um, Another reason why you have light line on these lighter spinning reels is because you're throwing smaller baits like this worm that I showed you earlier, this one here, or you're throwing little 3-inch grubs, or maybe a swim bait, or small crankbaits. So you really need that lighter line, that fast tip, to be able to really cast that bait out there, get good distance, you get good action, bring it back to the boat. Now when I'm drop shotting with a spinning rod, I'll use 8 or 10 pound fluoro, like I said, and we're usually fishing that around docks, wood piles, brush piles, rock piles, anything like that, something where you need a little bit heavier line to get those fish out of that cover and back to the boat. Now as far as the bait casting rod goes, these are a little bit heavier rods. These are more like medium fast action, medium to heavy fast action, all the way up to heavy, extra heavy. You're going to throw 10 to 15 pound line on that, 1/4 ounce up to 3/4, 1 ounce, depending on how heavy the rod you have. Now this one is super stout in the backbone, and the tip on it isn't as flexible as the bait caster, but it still gets a pretty good bend on it. With this particular rod, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I have a braid on here because I'm throwing a top water bait. And the thing about braid is that it floats, and you want to keep these top water baits up on the surface to get those surface strikes. With this particular bait, and we'll get into some of these later on, you can either throw it on braid, or you can throw this on mono too, maybe like a 14, 17 pound monofilament. It's just personal preference on which way you want to go. A lot of guys will throw these particular type on the mono. The reason why I have this one on braid is because I throw a lot of hollow-bodied frogs and stuff, and I like to switch back and forth, so I just kind of keep braid on there, so it's a faster transition. So with the bait casting rod, it's a heavier rod, so obviously you're going to be throwing bigger worms on it. We got bigger crankbaits, bigger swim baits, and this is mostly for power fishing. You'll hear a term. We also have bigger jigs, 1/2 ounce jig. So it's, you're running and gunning down the bank. You're just trying to pick off those active fish, that just get that reaction bite going. But the other thing to that is that these are also great search baits. So, if you catch one on, crankbait or a swim bait, you can slow down in that area, go back to your spinning rod, throw these smaller baits, and really get some more bites. So a lot of people, they don't have the patience to kind of slow down and throw these smaller baits, because you're working it a little bit slower. You're not getting quite the action that you might get with these reaction baits. So a lot of guys don't want to do them. So when you slow down to this, that could be the huge difference between, a mediocre day on the water and a great day on the water. So let's talk a little bit about the situations when I prefer to throw a spinning rod over my bait casting rod. I'll pull this out after post front conditions, high bluebird skies, high pressure, You know, those fish sometimes they're a little moody after that. And they don't really want to chase down a bait, so you really got to slow down, downsize your baits, and methodically fish sections of that lake. Another key time to throw this spinning rod is, high pressured lakes. You have a lot of people fishing a certain reservoir all the time, or there's a lot of tournaments on that lake. You really want to downsize your baits, slow it down, methodically go through a particular area that you like. Another situation is like out here, these western lakes, deep, clear water, that smaller presentation a lot of times will definitely get you more bites. A lot of times when it's cloudy or pre-front conditions, that's when I'm going to go to the top water. The bass are cruising around, they have that big cloud cover, they feel a little more safe, so they're going to move around, look for bait and stuff. That's really when you want to focus in on your reaction baits. Try to find where those fish are at and get you a lot more bites. Now the flip side to that is you can pull out your bait casting rod when it's sunny. That's, that heat starts to come out, and you want to flip and pitch around boat docks, stumps, flipping the tules, deep grass, something like that. You can pick up your jig and just hit the shady side of any of those, and you're going to find a lot of fish. These bass are predatory fish, so they'll get in the shade pockets and wait to ambush, bait fish and stuff like that. So you just really got to get out on the water, practice, let the fish kind of tell you what kind of mood they're in for that particular day, and just a little bit of trial and error, So I hope this was a nice little basic breakdown for you, get you a little information to help you kind of make a decision on which way you want to go. Definitely just starting out, spinning rod is the way to go. Get your practice in, get your time in on the water. We're also going to be having a part 2 on the water, showing you the practical uses of what we talked about in this previous video. So stay tuned. Thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next time.